Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, in this video, we're going to talk about windows, particularly this window. This is what we call a double hung window, and I'll explain that to you in just a moment. But we have to put windows in our home. Each bedroom has to have a window. That is according to building code. It just has to be there. And there are certain criteria that the building code says that those windows have to meet. And we'll start by, well, I won't start that yet. Let me go into building code in just a moment. But anyway, the rest of these rooms are going to get windows. You're going to want windows like in your kitchen. You're going to want a nice window in your living room. This is a bay window, and we're going to get to that one in the next video. So I won't bother you with that one just yet. I don't think I showed you how to do a garage door, but I probably need to make a video on that as well. But if you can go just by what you're looking at, you can draw this. It's 196 inches wide, but I will make a video on that if you want to wait for that. But anyway, primarily we're going to be talking about windows. First off, let's learn about the anatomy of a window so we know how to talk about them. This is a traditional double hung window. It has basically a window frame. As you can see, this structure going all the way around is a window frame. And then within that frame, there are two other frames, which we call sashes. Okay, the sash holds the glass, and it allows the glass in the window to be opened or closed. This particular, when it comes to double hung, means that the bottom will slide up and down as well as the top will slide up and down. Okay, now they don't fold out as you see in this picture. The ones in this picture fold out just to show you the different parts of a window. And you want to get very familiar with windows as we go along. But this is kind of what a window is, and that is the basic anatomy. This is the frame, and these two things here are sashes. Now these lines going down the middle of the window, back in the old days, those lines were actually pieces of frame material that would hold individual panes of glass. Okay, they don't build them like that anymore. What these little strips are now is they're just plastic. They just fit in the windows just for looks, and we refer to them as grids. Okay, so it's just a grid. Used to we called them mullions. Mullions would actually hold in the individual panes of glass, but grids are here in the window just for looks. Okay, now that we've got that done, let's talk a little bit about code. Now each bedroom, and this is very important, and you must write this down. Each bedroom must have a window that will allow for 5.7 square feet of open space. The reason is that your bedroom windows are also considered your emergency, escape, and rescue openings. Okay, that's how people get out if there's a fire. So as you grow older, and even now, you might want to figure out how to work that window in your bedroom, just in case. But anyway, that 5.7 square feet of open space that they're talking about is the bottom portion right here. So even if you have a double hung window, or no matter what kind of window that you have, if it only opens on top or whatever, then that's not any good. We have to have one that opens on the bottom. This particular window, again, opens on the top and bottom, but the bottom is what they're measuring for that 5.7 square feet of open space. And that open space must be at least 24 inches in height, no less than 24 inches in height, and then no less than 20 inches width. Okay, now again, that 5.7 square feet is also a minimum. So don't get fooled by the minimums, because that's all they are. It's minimum. If you want to have a larger window, by all means, go ahead and have one. But don't have anything smaller than that. 5.7 square feet of open space, no less than 20 inches wide, no less than 24 inches tall for the opening space. Okay. Now, when it comes to AutoCAD, what we typically do, or in this case, what we're going to do, is we're going to just deal with a 3-foot wide window for our bedrooms. We will approach the height and the opening and everything like that later when we do our elevation views, okay? But right now we're just working in floor plan, which is a, top-down view. So this window being 3 foot wide, of course, it would have to have a particular height in order to achieve that 5.7 square feet of opening space. But again, we're just looking at it from this height, and we're going to make them just a general 3 feet wide. And I'm going to show you how to make these windows. Okay. Now, again, each bedroom has to have one. You're going to want one in your kitchen as well, to just to let in some natural light. You'll definitely want one in your living room, such as this bay window. All right, and we're going to cover that again on another video. So here we go. Let's draw that window. I'm on the window layer. See, I created a new layer called Windows, and I colored it Cayenne is what that color is called. Okay, so right here, and if I pull up the layer colors, you'll see it right there. It is Cayenne. Okay, so make a new layer, call it Windows, and make it that Cayenne color. All right, so here's where you make the window. You click on that, click right here to make a new layer, and then call it Windows. Okay, so to make that window, it's real easy. There's 150 million ways that you can actually go about drawing one. I'm just going to show you my way, or one of my ways. I actually have several ways that I use myself. Just depends on how I feel that day, I guess. But I'm going to start with the line tool. And I'm going to just draw a vertical line, the thickness of my exterior wall. Okay, so what is the thickness of my exterior wall? My exterior wall is 10.5 inches. So you would have to measure yours. If you don't remember, measure yours to see if yours is 10.5 inches. Now, some of yours are a little bit smaller, or some of them might be a little bit bigger. Okay, but draw it according to the thickness of your exterior wall. So I'm going to draw this window 10.5 inches, or the thickness of the window anyway. Okay, so there's my very small line. I'm going to zoom into it so I can work with it. I'm going to offset that line 3 feet. Okay, then I'm going to draw a line right down the middle. I'm going to locate the center of that short line by that triangle that pops up automatically when I find the center. If you don't have that triangle, if that triangle does not pop up, come right over here. Just follow my cursor. I'm going to go to the bottom of my screen to the dynamic, or not to the dynamic input, sorry, but to the status bar. Right here, right next to this little square, there is a drop-down menu. Okay, this little square controls your snaps, okay, your snapping behaviors. Click on this little drop-down arrow, and you have other snapping selections that you can make. So areas that will be turned on when you hover your mouse over them. So endpoint, midpoint, center is what I currently have on. I also have on quadrant, intersection, extension, and perpendicular. Okay, I'm not always going to want these on. Sometimes I'm going to turn some of these off, and sometimes I'm going to turn other ones on. Okay, but sometimes I just don't want my cursor accidentally snapping on some of those locations. That's why I turn them off. But I keep certain ones on almost all the time, and that's usually these right here. I usually always keep these on. All right, so anyway, you definitely want to turn on midpoint to get that midpoint of the line, or that center of the line. So make sure there is a check mark next to that. If there's not, just click on it, and there will be. Okay, so I'm hovering over that center to pick up that reference geometry, and I get that little green line that kind of tags along with my cursor, and I draw it right over here to the other side. Oops, I did not have I wasn't actually drawing when I did that. All right, and then I'm going to offset that 2 inches in each direction. So 2 inches up and 2 inches down. So go offset, type in 2 inches, go up 2 and down 2. Okay. Now, let's look at this window. You see I have a little piece down here at the bottom, kind of like our outdoor door, this one over here. Okay, almost just like that one. And I just, draw it out basically 2 inches to the sides, and then 2 inches down in depth. Okay, so it sticks out to the left and the right 2 inches, and then it goes in depth-wise 2 inches, and then of course it just connects all the way across. But first, before I do that, let's offset these lines, because I also want to establish this little thickness right here, this frame representation, I guess you'd call it. But it just makes the window look good, makes it stand out a little bit better. So let's actually offset these two lines on the ends. Let's offset those 1 inch apiece. 1 inch. Now I want to come in here with the line tool, cap each one off. Now, as I'm still holding the line onto my cursor, I hit the enter button to let it go, and then I hit the enter button again to go back into the line tool. Hit the enter button to let it go, hit the enter button to go back in the line tool, let it go, enter button to go back in, and there we go. Then I'm going to hatch the inside. Where's my hatch tool? Here it is. Make sure it's solid, and it should color it according to the layer. Now I can draw the little ledge that comes out to the front. Okay, so remember I said that was going to be 2 inches out to the left, 2 inches, and then 2 inches down this way. Okay, and in total I'm adding 4 inches to this because I'm adding 2 inches to each side. So I want to draw this line going across the bottom. I want to draw that one 40 inches. And that was not enough. I didn't add that up correctly. Okay, but that's what I was intending to do. So if we got a 36-inch wide window and I'm adding 2 inches to each side, that should be 40 inches, should it not? Well, actually, too, I forgot to count this 1 inch that I also offset this line. Okay, so that's actually 3 inches I'm adding to each side. So I want to draw this line 42 inches, I think. Let's see how that works. Yes, there we go. Okay. All right, and now just associate your geometry with your all your guidelines and your snap behaviors and all that kind of good stuff. And there we have a 3-foot wide window. Now I'm going to turn it into a block so that I don't have to draw it again. I can use it anywhere, and I can also use it on my future plans. Okay, so I'm going to click on the Insert tab, click on Create Block. Call this one Window. Probably want to add 3 feet to that as well. And I've already got one named, I believe, 3-foot window in this project. Okay, make sure that this base point is specify on screen, check marked. Objects, specify on screen, check marked. And you don't have to do the annotative, but do this one for sure. Scale uniformly and allow exploding. And I'm going to click OK, and it accepted that name. Now I'm going to specify the insertion base point. For me, the middle is always the best. And you can do it anywhere, wherever you feel like you can handle it by. I'm going to do mine right here in the center on that front ledge. And then select the object. Okay, so there's my window. Now to place it, I'm just going to bring it in. Okay, now what you want to do is get it in the center of a wall. Let's go up here and put it on this wall. So I want to get it in the center of this wall. I want it to be centered on the inside. Okay, typically that's what you want to do, unless you're dealing with the front. Okay, the front you might offset a window, or it might look a little bit offset from the inside, but on the outside it would be geometrically balanced. Okay, but I'm just going to set this one on the inside at the middle of this wall. So I'm really having a hard time locating the middle of the wall. There's no triangle popping up or anything like that. So what can I do? Well, I'm going to drop the window right here for a moment. I'm going to go to my trim tool. Click on trim. Come right in here and trim this little gap. I'm going to click on trim a second time. Sometimes it takes that little gap right there inside the wall. Now eventually we're going to go around and do this to all the walls. Okay, as part of cleaning up our drawing. All right, so I'm going to click there to separate that wall. So now this wall will definitely have a distinct center. And two, I also need to flip my window around. So I could do that with the rotate tool or the mirror tool. I'm going to use the mirror tool and just boop, flip it around, and erase source objects. This time I do. I want to erase the source object. Now I can find the center. So I found the center right there, and I'm turning on that geometric reference point. And as I pull away, you can see a little green line following it. Okay, and keeping in line with that little green line, I'm going to take it just a little bit to the outside, and I might have to adjust it a little bit there. Okay, now I want to check. I can see that my window is kind of overhanging a little bit right there, and what that's going to affect is when I start to trim a lot of my stuff. So what I can do to get this thing to go in the right place is activate the window and then click on the Move tool, because when I click on the Move tool, I can create my own base point. Okay, so I'll click Move, and I'm going to create this base point. That way, I'll just be able to move it up, and it will snap perpendicularly to that red line. Okay, now I'm zooming out. I'm going to go to my Trim tool again, and I'm going to trim these no longer needed red lines. Okay, so that is how you make a basic 3-foot window, double hung window, and place it. Okay, so remember, all bedrooms must have one. You're going to want windows in other places as well, such as the kitchen. You'll want one in the bath. Now, in the bathroom, we have a different kind of window that we use. I will make a separate video on that one. All right, so stay tuned. We're going to go over this bay window next.